Welcome to the Orthodox View, where we discuss the latest religious news from an Orthodox Christian perspective. I am its host, Philip Champion. Prayers for a new church. A community of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in the Vinnytsia region is praying at the former school building in disrepair. The former church was captured by the supporters of the so-called Orthodox Church in Ukraine in 2019. According to the locals, divine services are rarely celebrated at it today. The school building, adjusted for a church, is old and in disrepair with no electricity. To make it possible to read in it, parishioners have installed small lamps on solar batteries. However, there is still not enough light in the church. The rector of the parish, Archpriest Artemy Minchenko, said that the community does not lose hope to acquire a new building. The allocation of a site for construction is under consideration now. In total, over 150 churches have been seized in the last 5 years by the supporters of the so-called Orthodox Church of Ukraine. The first after the revolution. The wedding of George Mikhailovich, a descendant of the Romanov dynasty and a Russian national, and Rebecca Bettarini, an Italian national, is planned for the 1st of October. The ceremony will take place at the St. Isaac Cathedral in St. Petersburg. Rebecca Bettarini embraced Orthodoxy last year with the name Victoria. The wedding of the Grand Duke will become the first marriage ceremony of a member of the Russian imperial family to be held in the territory of Russia since the 1917 revolution. Against the vaccination passports. The church leaders in Australia have called the authorities not to introduce vaccination passports. An open letter to Prime Minister Scott Morrison was signed by about 2,500 representatives of various religious organizations. The document was called the Ezekiel Declaration. The religious leaders believe that the introduction of the passports will lead to terrible consequences, the creation of a two-tiered society and medical apartheid. The signatories believe that free citizens should have a right to make decisions on their own, especially since the vaccines are still under a clinical trial. To take flight. The Russian Orthodox Church has expressed concerns for the life of Christians in Afghanistan. The statement was made by the chairman of the Moscow Patriarchate's Department for External Church Relations, Metropolitan Hilarion of Volokholamsk. I quote, "We are concerned for the life of those not many Christians who have remained in Afghanistan. I think the right decision for them will be to leave the country." Metropolitan Hilarion also expressed fears that terrorism will spread from Afghanistan to other countries, including Russia. A robber and a thief. Metropolitan Hilarion of Volokholamsk had pointed out how one of the episodes of Patriarch Bartholomew's visit to Ukraine coincides with the words from the Gospel according to John. When in Kiev, Patriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople had to enter the Rada through the back door to avoid meeting the faithful of the canonical church. Metropolitan Hilarion says, I quote, "He that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber." Metropolitan Hilarion also recalled that the Ukrainian Orthodox Church remains faithful to the canons and consists of millions of believers. He expressed regret that Patriarch Bartholomew does not notice that. I quote, "Patriarch Bartholomew, in an attempt to see what he wants to see, comes to a group of schismatics and says, 'Here is a true church.'" Under the cover of a special unit. In Montenegro, the situation has reached an acute stage. Patriarch Porphyry of Serbia arrived by helicopter to the city of Cetinje for the enthronement of Metropolitan Ioanniki of Montenegro. However, Patriarch Porphyri's welcome ceremony reminded rather a police special operation for safeguarding a president in the epicenter of hostilities. At present, the city of Cetinje is filled with members of nationalistic and pro-fascist groups and supporters of the unrecognized Church of Montenegro. Protesters have blocked the entrance to the city and exhibited aggressive behavior. The process is coordinated by the country's former ruling party headed by the ex-president Milo Djukanovic. The safety of representatives of the Serbian Church is secured by dozens of armed military. This is all for now. Thank you for your attention and see you next time on the Orthodox View.